Okay, welcome everyone. It's now the appointed time for our commission meeting to begin. We'll invite Commissioner Perry to give our invocation, after which our HR manager, Jenny Costander, to give the Pledge of Allegiance.
Our dear Heavenly Father, we come before Thee this time grateful for the many blessings that Thou hast blessed us with. We're grateful for the moisture we've been receiving and grateful for the moisture that's coming. And we pray that we will to use that moisture wisely and be able to be prosperous, be able to accomplish the things we need to here in our community. We're grateful for all those who serve here in the Box Elder County area and who serve to protect and take care of the citizens here in our county. We're grateful for all these employees and especially ask You to bless and watch over all of them as they serve the citizens of Box Elder County. We ask You to please bless and watch over our military and our law enforcement and fire personnel that protect us each and every day, and put a special blessing to protect and watch over them as they serve. And we ask that Thy Spirit be with us as we do the business and the will of the people, that we can accomplish the things that Thou would have us do. And we ask for these favors and blessings and say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Please stand and repeat the Pledge of Allegiance with me.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. The next item on the agenda is approval of minutes from February 26, 2025.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes as presented.
Second.
We had a motion by Commissioner Vincent and a second by Commissioner Perry to approve the minutes from February 26, 2025. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Administrative review reports, future agenda items. Seeing none, pardon me?
I'm good.
Seeing none, we will go to item number 4, which is former agenda items. Nothing?
No.
Emergency management issues? None. Item number 6, ARPA LATCF. Charlene? Thank you.
Charlene Larson, County Auditor. So what I'm giving you here is, as of today, where we're sitting with the both ARPA funding and the LATCF, after I've completed year-end entries to cover the emergency management building and personnel costs. And the items in blue on the ARPA one are the remaining balances to spend that will need to be spent before 2026. Have any questions for me? I realize it's a lot to look through, so.
So the balance in the gold is the amount that we have left that we have to spend before 2026.
Right. And we obligated, if you look out to the side, the boxes where I've put how much was we obligated in those resolutions that we did at the end of the year.
They're both in process of being spent.
They're in the process of being spent, so they've already gone down a little bit as far as what we have left.
So we're gonna be close anyway, huh?
Well, you'll probably need to get with the fairgrounds and figure out how she's gonna spend the remaining money that's obligated there, but.
Okay. Okay,
LATCF is less restrictive, and so there's a balance of $789,828 basically in money in that.
any questions, commissioners?
Nope. Appreciate the information.
All right.
Thank you
Thank you so
so much.
much, Charlene, appreciate it. Okay, item number 7, Attorney's Office, the amendment to the fleet policy to add fire wardens and special exemptions for personal use of vehicles. Annie?
Annie Hansen with the County Attorney's Office. The fire chief, Kevin Lloyd, has requested that the fire wardens be added to the list of special positions that have the exemption for personal use of vehicles when there's a chance that they could be called out on an emergency. The times for the fire wardens is slightly more limited than a detective or one of the other positions from public safety. It's a little bit more seasonal, and so they would use discretion in when that occurs. And then with that, if you approve it, we're prepared to go ahead and update the fleet policy with that change. And also there was a request to be more clear about the requirement to live within 50 miles of the county. And it's been specified that it has to be within 50 miles of their assigned building that they report to, with an exemption for public safety for the sheriff to make an exemption if needed.
And we're still working on the SAMHSA, whether to have a camera versus. So
Yeah,
that may
there's
be
no
another thing.
changes on
Some other
that one.
changes are still coming, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, any questions?
Nope.
I will entertain a motion.
I'd make a motion that we accept the amendments as presented here today to our fleet policy.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Perry and seconded by Commissioner Vincent to approve the amendment to the fleet policy to have the fire wardens and special exemptions for personal use. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Annie, item B.
Okay. We've presented an agreement, number 25-15. This is to hire legal counsel to represent the Sheriff Deputy Merit Commission in finalizing a currently pending appeal from an employee who received discipline. The counsel would be hired to help the committee finalize their findings and address any outstanding motions or requests that are pending.
Okay,
So this, and just so I understand, this person would only be involved when it gets to that last step. They wouldn't actually be coming to every merit commission meeting, right?
Right, this is just specifically for the
the
Merkley
appeals.
appeal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we had future appeals, we'd be using the same situation though, right?
Right, we would need an attorney, but we can wait, and this is only specifically to assist
one
with this
repeal, okay.
appeal. But in the future, if we decide, we could do a contract and appoint them for future assistance if we need them.
Okay.
But they're pretty few and far between, so we could just do it on a case-by-case basis.
Good to know. I'd make a motion that we approve agreement 2515 for legal counsel for the Sheriff's Deputy Merit Commission.
Second.
having a motion made by Commissioner Perry and a second by Commissioner Vincent to approve agreement 25-15 for legal counsel for Sheriff Deputy Merit Commission. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Annie.
Thank you.
Okay, we have item 8A, Bragg Regional Economic Development Quality Growth Reimbursement Commissioners. Is this you, Sean? Are you going to come and talk to us about this?
It is me, and I'm willing to.
I'd love to have you talk to us.
Well, I'm grateful for that. Sean Milne, Bear River Association of Governments, Director of Community and Economic Development. You have a contract before you this evening for annual service for economic development. I'm happy to address any particular questions that you have, whether it's about the work or the contract.
So this contract is not only with Box Elder County, but also Cash and Rich as part of this contract?
Cash and Rich do, yeah. The three counties combined. This is the third year that this would be in place. Previously, as you likely know, I did community and economic development services for Cache County only under the Rural County Grant Program for them. At the time, 2 years ago, again, this is for the third year, so 2 years ago, I was moved over to Bragg with an original conversation that took place between certain members of the Cache County Council and Box Elder County Commission that asked, in lieu of this county being without an economic development director for roughly a year and a half at that time, if I would be willing to do billable hours for Box Elder County, Cache County council members didn't love the idea of a retail invoicing kind of agreement. And they said, we already have a partnership for certain back-end services through the Bear River Association of Governments. And to model it off of the same sort of thing, let's put Sean over there. Cache County loved the idea because it would help fractionalize the bill for what had previously been 100%, of course, absorbed by them for a full-time employee. All the departmental costs and my salary and things of that nature was 100% absorbed by them because I was 100% their employee. So moving it over to Bragg enabled them to save a little bit of money from their program. And the Box Elder County Commissioners at the time felt like, you know, we would like those services and not necessarily hire our own person and have the benefits that would be in excess of the contract amount that you see before you. And that was predicated based on just the math of the previous employee a year and a half earlier. So that's how that got started. They said, let's go approach Rich. And Rich said, sure, but you know, we don't have a whole lot going on. Long story short, they decided to make the formula based upon population spread between the 3-county area. So each county pays proportionately to the departmental costs according to their population. 69% and a fraction is Cache County, 27% and a fraction is Box Elder County, and Little Old Rich is about 3% of the tri-county population. And so that's how that math between the total departmental costs was proportionalized to each county.
Okay, thank you. Any questions?
Nope.
I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion. We approve the Bragg Regional Economic Development and Quality Growth Reimbursement.
I'll second it.
We have a motion by Commissioner Vincent and a second by Commissioner Perry to approve the Bragg Regional Economic Development Quality Growth Reimbursement. All in favor? Aye. Thank you so
gentlemen.
much.
Thank you,
Motion
Commissioners.
approved. Okay. Ratify signatures on the county line of succession. Commissioners.
I'll make a motion that we ratify the signatures that we've done on the county line of succession that's been sent to the Utah Division of Emergency Management.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Perry and seconded by Commissioner Vincent that we ratify the signatures on the county line of succession. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Item C, nomination for Utah Transit Authority Board. To explain a little bit about that, the Utah Transit Authority has a 3-member board, and one of those members is up this year, and Box Elder County has an opportunity to nominate for that committee. And so anyway, I'm open to nominations.
Well, we do have somebody that wants that position here.
We gotta let her
We'll
come up and visit with
talk to
us.
about
Oh.
it.
Sorry, we weren't trying to not, it's not, we didn't want you to come and
Here,
visit
so
with
Beth
us.
Holbrook's here. If she's requested,
I'm
we consider her.
I'm sorry, Beth. I can read with these glasses on, but I can't see anything else.
That is not a problem at all, Commissioner. Thank you so much for the opportunity to talk today. For the record, my name is Beth Holbrook. I am the current trustee for Davis, Weber, and Box Elder counties. And I'm up for renomination. And as you articulated, we have a 3-member full-time board. We work with all of our areas to maximize transit opportunities. In the last little while since I've been here, I've been able to purchase significant amounts of right-of-way for the future rail that will come through Front Runner Extension up into Brigham City. We have 2 transit-oriented development sites, one at Brigham City and one at Willard. And we also have some additional growth that we expect in 2026 for this area. It's called On Demand. Not quite ready to give a full presentation on it, but happy to answer any questions. And I would ask for your support for the nomination again, because I do feel like I can continue to provide positive impacts towards the 3 cities in our transit district, so Brigham, Willard, and Perry City. And so with that, happy to answer any questions.
I will say, I appreciate the opportunity to sit down with you. When Lee and I met with you recently and talked about some of the challenges that we had in our local area, and to see that you were willing to help us with that is very much appreciated. So,
You're very welcome. And I think that there's, going to be some opportunities to continue to get more advantages for the communities that we represent here. And with your help, I think that those things that we identify, we can continue to work on.
Well, Beth, I really appreciate what you've done for especially Brigham City and Box Elder County. I've spent several hours with you looking at things and trying to figure out things that benefit our community. So I appreciate your desire and dedication to help us in Brigham City and Box Elder County. So I think you do a great job.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate that.
That I'd make a motion that we nominate Beth Holbrook as our choice from Box Elder County to serve on the Utah Transit Authority Board.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Perry and a second by Commissioner Vincent to nominate Beth Holbrook for the Utah Transit Authority Board. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
We'll need to draft a letter, and then you'll have to sign that letter. We'll have to get a letter drafted to send, so.
Thank you.
Thanks, Beth.
Thank you very much.
We'll get that
Appreciate
done.
you.
Thank you.
Maybe having Chrissy draft that.
Pardon me?
Chrissy will draft that.
Yes, we can have Chrissy draft that. That letter goes to the board or to the governor?
Yeah, it's explained in here. It's a letter needs to go back to, there's a letter of recommendation has to be submitted to somebody at UTA, and it's included in this information we've submitted, so.
Okay.
I just want to be sure if I had to do it or if Chrissy was going to.
That might be your job to remember. Okay, item 8D, request for landfill fee waiver for the Fine Arts Center, Lisa Wyatt. No Lisa Wyatt? Okay, we will move on. Item number E, discuss payment plan for Linda and Neil Bessinger delinquent property tax. Tanner Bessinger.
Thank you. Yeah, Tanner Bessinger. If you recall, the last time we spoke was to table it and kind of come up with a little bit more of a proper payment plan that was a little bit more substantive. We've spoke with the family, gone over some things, and I think if Sean's here, you can see the payments that we have done thus far. We put about $1,900 towards the delinquency, and our new commitment is to do at least $1,000 per month towards it. And we wanted to make these payments beforehand, before coming back to this meeting, to show that we are serious. We do want to get this taken care of to the best that we can. I'm happy to answer any questions or discuss it any further.
So Tanner, with that kind of a commitment, how long is it going to take you to catch up, do you think?
So the original delinquency was a little over $11,000. So if we did $1,000 a month, it would be just
A little over a year or
a
so?
little
huh?
over a year. I understand the tax comes up in November as well. So yeah, it would just be a little over a year before we get it fully taken care of.
And is that going to cause you a problem with paying next year's taxes?
No,
Okay.
no. Now that we're aware of it, and I take full responsibility for this, because I was under the impression that it was taken care of by their mortgage, but they technically don't have a mortgage. They have a home equity loan. So I learned the hard way that that's not how that works.
Right.
So, do we have something written in writing?
I'd be happy to draw up something.
Would you mind doing that?
Is that
Sure.
something we can do?
Yeah, we probably ought to do a
So maybe
contract.
we could work with our county attorney's office to maybe put a contract together. I was wondering if we might want to have our treasurer come up and
Yeah, I'd
just
like some
confirm
input
with,
from Sean.
I'd like to hear from Sean before we
Okay.
make any kind of motion.
Okay,
Yeah, it'd
to
be good.
see. I know this is kind of an unusual circumstance. We certainly don't want to take someone's home away though, but we want to figure out a way to solve that. So if we could just turn the mic to our treasurer there.
Well, and especially where you've done what you've done, because what we talked about last time, and then you've been paying $1,000, I think. So you paid $1,900 at this point? Yes. Okay.
Sean Thornley, Box Elder County Treasurer. I did look at the payments before I came in. I don't have record of all the payments, but I think one of them might still be in transit. I got one payment for $200, one payment for $700, and they've been making payments, electronic payments. So those take about a week to clear before we actually get the notification that they paid. So that might be the case there. Yesterday, yeah. So I wouldn't know about that one yet. So that makes sense.
And this is highly unusual, Sean, I know, but if we actually have the county attorney's office draft us some sort of an agreement that says they will make if they stop making that $1,000 a month payment, between now and November, we can bring them back in and deal with it accordingly. But is that something that can be done through our treasurer's office if we go down that route?
I don't see why not. You know,
Okay.
in this situation where it's 5 years delinquent, I don't see why that would be a problem.
Sean, do you have any kind of template you used or something like this in the past, or have you ever done anything like this before?
Can you say that again, Steve?
Do you have any kind of a template you've used for an agreement like this, or have you ever done that before?
I've done it before, but just freehand. I don't have a template.
Okay.
So, Tanner, I don't think this is any negative connotation towards you. It's just that when you do business, you need to have something in writing to protect both of us.
Absolutely. Agreed.
So,
So if you, I would make a motion that our county attorney draft some type of an agreement to get with you and have you sign it with our commission chair agreeing to this, and maybe including even our treasurer in that process, that would make it so you have to come back, but that you can continue to pay those payments to get it paid off during this next year. And if, we'll have them put in there, if you fell, that it will have to be brought back to the commission to address the situation in that situation. But that's what my proposal or my motion would be, is to do that.
Let me just ask you a couple questions. $1,000 a month, starting when?
You just paid, right?
We just paid.
So
So the agreement.
April.
starting in, it
Starting
would be
April?
April,
Next
yeah, so
month.
they've done March, so we do April, yeah, and move on from there.
Due by a specific day?
You have a date that you,
Typically, they get their social security on the 3rd, so the 3rd or the 4th, we can make a payment of each
They
month.
give you
so
enough time?
so if you
wanna
do
it
the
later?
first,
You wanna do
if
the
you do the
5th?
first, by the, like,
By
the
the
10th of
middle?
each month,
or the 10th or the
is that-
15th.
I don't know what
something
your
like that.
schedule's
10th to
like
the
or something.
12th, probably.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah, give yourself
would-
a few days.
that'd be great.
because it
So, yeah,
takes a
let's
few
do
minutes
the-
for it to post and stuff, so.
And is that gonna go to principal, or to interest and penalties as well, or is that just, I don't know what this balance consists of.
Yeah, the balance currently 10,000. Balance is currently 10,668.08. We have been applying payments to penalties and interest at this point.
And that doesn't include the $1,000 he sent, probably, right? That 10, so
That-
if you got that, you'd be into 9,668 roughly, or something like that, right?
Yeah. So does the commission want the 2025 tax to be paid on time, or just as the $1,000?
I would make the motion, we let him pay off where he's at, but I think he needs to be able to be prepared to pay the 2025 in November, before November.
Correct, and
30th.
he said there was no problem doing that, so.
Yeah.
Is that right?
That's doable.
So it'll go to penalties and interest first, and then to the balance?
Yeah,
Will there be any more accruing as he's paying it?
I would say yes.
It has to be.
Yeah, there ha-
has to go-
yeah.
Yeah, it should be relatively low, though.
Will they be
right?
interest only or interest and penalties?
Interest only or penalties as well, is that what you said?
Yeah.
The penalty is just a one-time thing, so as soon as
Okay,
they make
just
one
interest.
payment against the penalty, it's gone.
Okay.
So realistically, they'll be down to, with what they've already paid, they'll be down to less than $1,000 by the time they hit November. They'll have like less, other than a little bit of interest, they'll probably be at close to $1,000 left to pay in November when they have to pay
Yeah.
the regular tax bill.
And then upon default, it would go to a tax sale? Is that what we're saying?
I think it needs to come back to the commission for possible review rather than go straight to tax sale. That would be the
Okay.
motion I would make, is that if they default, that it needs to come back to the commission to just make that determination.
And we're not putting a date when it's gonna be all paid by?
Well, realistically, it's
Because we
gonna all
don't
be
know
paid.
exactly.
Well, I just counted off, and it should all be paid off by the end of the year. If they're paying $1,000 a month,
By the
plus
end
they're
of this
paying,
year?
by the end of 2025, it should, all those penalties and everything should be paid off by the end of 2025.
So by 12/31/25 then?
Yep.
Okay. I think that's all I need. I also need able to get a hold of you. What's the best way to contact you?
I think
Okay, you
we've
can
got
get that, you can give that to me after if you don't want to
It's
put it on the
on,
record here.
it's on the agenda here on his thing. He's got it filled out. It's got his name and phone number on there.
Yeah, okay. I don't have that, but,
I can get it
Oh.
to you.
okay,
We probably ought to have an email too, probably, don't you think?
probably.
If you want to get an email to the clerk, just give it, that way you don't have to put it over the,
You just write it on there for me.
then we'll have that to follow up with. So, any question on what the motion is?
I think so.
Okay.
A second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Perry and a second by Commissioner Vincent to approve this payment plan put together by the county attorney's office of paying $1,000 a month. Interest first, then principal. And if there is a problem, to have that come back to the commission to readdress that. Anything else?
I think that's it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Hey, Tanner, thank you for your help.
Thank you, appreciate it.
And thanks for looking out, I mean, being willing to do the right thing, because nobody wants to have to sell a house out from somebody, so we're glad you're working on it.
Yeah, we appreciate you doing more.
Thank you, I really appreciate it.
Okay.
Item number F, property tax mistakenly filed under Veterans Abatement, Holly Charlton.
Hi, my name's Holly Charlton. I own a house here in Brigham. I found out at the beginning of February that my house was mistakenly filed under my mortgage company or the county under a veterans disability tax abatement. We are not veterans. My husband's not a veteran. The previous owner of my house was a veteran, and when we bought our house in 2021, his abatement got carried over to our home under mine and my husband's name. I got a notification from my mortgage company, just the regular document that they sent me that my mortgage is going up because of property tax. I called the county asking them to make sure what our property tax was, and they told me that I don't pay property taxes, which was news to me. And she looked into it further and saw that it was filed under a veterans abatement. And then she reported it. And so now I have a balance of $5,391.74 that I have to pay for the year of 22, 23, and 24. I've had 3 mortgage companies. I've contacted all 3 of them. My first one, it was filed correctly that my property tax, my homeowner's insurance was supposed to be included. We only had that mortgage company for 2 months, and then after like 3 months of owning our home, it got sold to Flagstar, and Flagstar, the way I was talking to Sean about it is they follow like a code from the county, and it got taken off of our mortgage for our escrow, and then our mortgage recently got sold again in November, and it got put back on. So somewhere between all 3 mortgage companies, something got mixed up. So I'm here to see if there's anything that we can do for the balance, either excuse me from the balance or take a year off, or just anything that you guys recommend.
Can we I'd like to have Sean and Charlene both come in, since it
Yep.
kind of works through both. I don't know, Charlene, does that go through your office? So maybe if you and Sean could both come up, I'd like to just find out how and what happened there. So if you want to just sit right over here for just a second while we talk to these two and kind of get an idea. Which one wants to go first?
So this predates me as the auditor.
right.
But in the past, the way we handled veteran exemptions was changed, and they did not put an end date on them any longer. We used to put an end date annually and then have to re-enter every veteran exemption every year. And so to streamline them, I think they decided to take the end date out and then just check it on an annual basis. I didn't catch it because it happened before I think I was really involved with it. But now we do check any ownership changes and such, and I'm guessing that something happened that year where they didn't check the ownership change.
Okay.
And so it never got taken off.
Okay.
And so that is an error on our part, for sure.
Okay. And Sean, do you have any information on so the total cost that she's telling us, or we've got on here, is $5,391.74? Is that?
That's correct.
Is that, would that be, there's no penalties or fines or
No
anything?
penalties or interest. When we reapplied the tax, we're able to put in a due date, and I knew that they would need some time to come up with that kind of money. So I
Sure.
for now, I set the due date out 45 days when we did that. Be somewhat less now, but I think we should be generous in allowing them time to come up with this large amount of money.
So typically, when we do our taxes. I know myself with my rentals and my house, every year I get a tax notice from the county. Does that not, because there's no tax on that property, does that tax notice
Would
not
still
go
go
out?
to her.
Yeah, we do have a correct address on that, and they still would get a tax notice.
It shows a veteran adjustment on the tax bill,
Okay.
so I guess they never questioned that.
So what is the
We
annual?
know that
Yeah.
most people don't read their tax notices, and
Well, especially if they're on a mortgage and they figure the mortgage company's gonna take care
Yeah,
of it.
I just figured
Right.
they're gonna be covered.
Yeah,
Right.
if it's wrapped into their mortgage,
yeah,
right, I
a
get
lot of
that.
people, even if they know they're going to pay, they don't open their tax notice until they get to the counter to pay. So, yeah.
Okay.
I must be weird because I do.
Can you break, by any chance, Sean, do you have a breakdown by year? What it would be each year?
Yeah, 2022, 1,764.71. 2023, $1,816.69, and 2024, $1,810.34.
Okay.
And I know Mrs. Charlton has mentioned that she did not get her tax notices, at least on some of those years. And that is something that happens from time to time. Folks don't get their tax notices, whether it's post office or for some other reason, I don't know.
Okay, thank you.
So, but you mentioned that there's no penalty and interest. This is just back tax we're talking about? Okay, Holly,
Get you back up.
please.
So that tax form, I have only ever received one, and that was right when we bought our house. And I met with Sean 2 weeks ago, and then he gave me the one for 2024. I asked him if they've been sent out, and he said yes. So I've only ever received one from that, and that was the year right after we bought our house. But since then, I haven't received one. And I know that I should have looked at my statements more closely. On my statements for the property tax and the insurance, it just says escrow, and in parentheses, it says tax. And insurance, it doesn't break up how much is going to each one. So I thought it was being paid. And I bought my house really young, and they don't teach you anything about buying a house. And I get there's a mispart on my behalf, but yeah,
So what do you recommend we do?
anything that you can do to help with the balance would be greatly appreciated.
So you saw some folks in here that were 5 years late, and they put some effort into making a plan to,
Yeah, and I'm totally, willing to do that.
yeah. Commissioners, what do you think?
We've actually gone down this road a couple of times, where in this case, I mean, she brought it to our attention based on her going back and doing some of this research herself and then contacting us and finding out she was out of compliance, which then brought her back into, she had to come talk to us. I guess I look at it as she got the first one in 2022. I think that one should be paid. I'm actually willing to say maybe we could figure out, say, kind of, we take one of those payments out of the middle and have her pay and I don't know how quickly she can pay them off, but pay the 2022 and the 2024. We'd waive the 23 year in between because of the miss and for not seeing a tax notice or whatever, which we've done in the past as far as penalties go, or anything like that. But maybe I don't know, there's got to be something there we can figure out a way to do payment. But 45 days is probably, I don't know, you can't pay this in 45 days, can you?
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's what I'm concerned with.
I've been
is-
responsible and have a savings, but it's not,
Yeah.
I've never imagined it
Well,
to
we don't
go
want to,
towards
yeah,
this.
we don't want to go in the hole that way, and that's why I'm just trying to think of how to set it up like we've done
Well,
with the
and-
previous one. I don't know.
And like she says, I mean, it's tough. I mean, if you don't pay attention to those things and new younger people, new homes, their first home is hard. And if you're not watching that and you don't really notice that is hard. I would agree to that.
I don't know if we're going to drop to $5,000 and say, so not the complete 1 year off, but get it to that amount and say, okay, put maybe a similar kind of contract. I don't know, $1,000 a month till it's paid off.
Well, and I think we ought to figure out what she can afford, but I think a contract would be fair too, and I agree with your
Yeah, I
proposal.
mean,
The taking the 2023, I can definitely, because I did the math. If you were to take one of them out, it drops it down to about $3,500, and I could do that in
you could get
2
that paid out
months.
in 2 months?
Yeah.
How
And
how about we give you 4? We don't want your children to go
If
hungry.
we did one, that's if we did away with 1 year.
and to be like
if we-
just personal, like I don't have kids yet, but I am pregnant, and so it's just
Well, and I,
learning all of that.
and again,
It's the roller
I think
coaster.
commissioners, we do a contract. I don't have a problem doing away with 23 and adding the two together and having a contract of where she can pay that off in 4 months.
Can we do a second contract like that?
Sorry, Steve.
I can do whatever you tell me to do.
I mean, we're already doing one contract,
Well,
we
and
could do a
it,
second
and it's
contract.
sad when they did the title search and they did all that stuff, and it frustrates me because honestly, your bank should be,
Yeah.
they should be,
The mortgage company.
the
should have
mortgage
caught it.
company should be held accountable as well.
I'd really like to go after them.
So that really frustrates me. I mean, they know and understand that that you bought this home from a bad.
Yeah,
And so-
well, and I contacted my old mortgage company. They sold it to my new mortgage company in November, and they pretty much told me I'm no longer a customer. They can't
course.
do anything for me. And my new mortgage company said,
not
we
our-
just bought it,
it's not
and
our
it's
fault."
not our problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's
And-
that's
So
that's difficult.
I've had my hands tied the last 2 weeks.
frustrating.
So if you feel comfortable with that, we will drop out the 2023 and add the other two together. And if you can schedule for over 4 months, get them up to snuff, would that work?
Yeah, that'll work.
We'll have Steve then.
Okay, so let me make sure I understand. Waive the 2023 taxes. Is there just 4 months, or is it a minimum amount paid each month, or what's, is it?
Sean, I didn't catch all those numbers. You said them so fast, I didn't get them written down, but Sean has
I've
the
got them.
numbers.
It shows 35, if I'm adding right, if we eliminate 2023, it should be 357405, if I'm not mistaken.
I have my thing right here too, if you guys need to look at
Hmm.
it.
That's what I come up
So are
with
we
too.
saying?
Is
so
that
much
right,
a
Sean?
month,
If
or
I
just
take, if we
paid in
took
4 months?
23 out,
4 months.
3574,
That sounds roughly correct.
what?
That's roughly correct.
Okay, so yeah, if we take those
Roughly.
two out, we're looking at basically about 35, just over 35,000. We'll get you the exact amount. We'll get with
3,500,
Sean,
500. So are we saying then a minimum amount, or just over 4 months, whatever amount she pays?
which is easier.
Just over 4 months.
Just like it divided
I'll pay
equally?
it off quicker, but
Okay, She has up to 4 months to get that total amount paid off.
Starting when?
Starting
4
to-
months from when?
Starting today?
today, is that
yeah,
okay?
yeah, that's okay.
Okay,
Okay,
is that your motion?
That's my motion. Do you want me to make it? Okay,
Started.
thanks, Commissioner. Okay, I make a motion that we make an agreement that, I'm sorry, I forgot your name.
Holly,
With Holly Clarkston.
Charlton.
Charlton, let's get it right, Holly Charleston, that you pay $35.75 roughly in a 4-month period. And that we will make an agreement between you and the county,
Okay, thank
through our
you.
attorney.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Okay.
And then going forward, they'll make sure, watch for that tax notice in November. Well, October.
like a hawk now.
Watch
There
for
you go.
that. So don't miss
Good
that
work.
from now on. You
Good
got your
work.
chance, so.
Thank you.
Is there a
Okay,
second? to that mo-
Yeah.
So been moved by Commissioner Vincent and seconded by Commissioner Perry that we have an agreement for Holly Charlton to pay her taxes without 2023, the other two added together, 35.75 roughly in 4 months. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, community development. Ordinance number 617, request for rezone. Scott Lyons.
All right, Scott Lyons, Community Development Department. So this first item is a request for rezone. It's in the Thatcher area of Box Elder County, located at 11,145 north, 11,600 west. It is, let's see the exact acreage, 1.5 acres. It's currently zoned R120, which is a residential 20,000 square foot, so half-acre zone. And the request is to change it to the MG zone, which is like our manufacturing industrial zone. This went to the Planning Commission at their February meeting. Public hearing was held. The only person to speak at the public hearing was the applicant. Obviously, he spoke in favor of it. There was no opposition. That being said, the Planning Commission forwarded a recommendation of approval to the County Commission.
So I was there at the meeting. I can't remember the purpose, why he wanted to do this.
So he has, he built the shop, so he lives next door on a separate 1.5 acre parcel.
Okay,
And he
now I
built the shop for personal use, and had been using it for some personal use, had expanded. He historically has been a cabinet maker, and so he used it for some commercial purposes, for cabinet making. Anyway, he is losing his eyesight. He has a buyer from Cache County that does some small scale manufacturing and metal work and things like that, who is interested in purchasing it, but based on its current status of being in a residential zone and the building permit for the structure is exclusively for personal use, not for commercial use, then the buyer, in order to use it for commercial purposes, which is what the buyer desires, it would need to be rezoned to a manufacturing zone, and then he would need to work with the building department to do whatever retrofitting is necessary to use it, the structure, for commercial purposes as well. So,
Okay, any questions, commissioners?
What did the planning commission, what was
their recommendation was approval.
approval? Okay.
I'll make a motion that we approve ordinance 617, request for rezone from R120 to MG. Scott Lyons. Thanks, Scott.
I'll second it, minus the Scott Lyons part. Anyway.
Sorry, Scott. I thought I'd throw you in there.
It's been moved by Commissioner Vincent and seconded by Commissioner Perry to approve ordinance number 617, request for a rezone from R120 to MG. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Item B.
Item B, this next item is the ordinance 618. This is a request, this comes from staff. So essentially what we do as staff, approximately once or twice a year, we'll go through, we keep track of small changes in the land use code that, whether they're contradictions in two separate chapters or one amendment has made, and sometimes that amendment might affect another section that we failed to update at that time. So sometimes they're just typos. So we basically keep a track of these things, and once we feel like we've got enough to justify an ordinance, we'll prepare an ordinance and take it to the Planning Commission for their review and approval, or recommendation, and then bring it to you as the County Commission. So that's essentially what this ordinance is a cleanup ordinance. Yeah. So you've got a variety of things in there. So like the first thing you would see on there, is the Orchards Master Plan Community Zone. So this is a zone that only applied to one master planned community. That master plan community has since been annexed into Willard City. And so that zone no longer exists or needs to exist in unincorporated county. So it's essentially scratching that whole zone from the land use code. And then going on from there, there's a variety of other changes to the code, like I said, that just clean things up, whether it's a conditional use permit change to an administrative conditional use permit, like that was already done, but something just language missed in another part of the code, cleans all of those things up. So.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we, for the request, amend land use code is a cleanup.
Ordinance 618, right?
618, sorry.
Okay, I'll second it.
So I got a motion by Commissioner Vincent and a second by Commissioner Perry to approve ordinance number 618, request to amend the land use code. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Corridor Preservation Fund, item C.
Yeah, so each year, the per state code, the legislative body is to adopt a priority list for the Corridor Preservation Fund. So this list went to, and what this list is really just a wish list, if you will. Your project is a city or county who wants to apply for corridor preservation funds. The number one question is, or number one requirement is, it has to be on this priority list. So you've had to look at each year. What my office does is in like November, we'll send an email out to all the mayors and or city administrators and say, hey, we're preparing for the first COG meeting of the year. It's usually the first Monday in January, and we'll let them know, please get started on reviewing what you want added to the new year's priority list. A lot of times they'll have projects that just roll over from one year to the next year if they didn't apply for funding on those projects, and sometimes they'll have new projects that have come along that they'll like to add to that list. So the list being presented, it's essentially a curated wish list for projects that they may or may not apply for, but it's required to be on here if they to be eligible for application for funding.
So I see on the list, you've got some that are highlighted in yellow.
Those are the new ones.
Those are the new ones from Brigham City, and then construction maintenance, those are new ones, or though?
Yeah, so those are all new additions this year.
Okay.
Everything else carried over from last year. And like I said, this went on January 6th to the COG, which is the group of mayors, and was approved by them on that date.
Okay, I'd make a motion that we approve the Corridor Preservation Fund 2025 priority list.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Perry and seconded by Commissioner Vincent to approve the Corridor Preservation Fund 2025 priority list. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Item D.
Let's see, item D.
8400 amend and extend subdivision.
Just making sure I'm on the right one. So this one is the subdivision improvement agreement for the 8400 West amend and extend subdivision. So anytime a subdivision has new public infrastructure, roads, stormwater, et cetera, we require an improvement agreement to ensure that those improvements are done to our public works standards, and that they're done in a timely manner, and that they're done correctly, based on Darren, the county engineer, and or Darren's inspector, Jabez, will go out and do those inspections to ensure that they're done properly. So this improvement agreement outlines what improvements are necessary or are required, and it also has a security mechanism, so whether that be an escrow or a bond, to ensure that they are actually completed. And if for some reason the developer walks, then there's a funding source for the county to complete those improvements. So this agreement outlines all of those things. As far as the, I don't know if Steve wants to add anything here. Basically what happened, we're used to doing an escrow, which is where the developer, places money in escrow. This one, the developer decided to do a bond, so we kind of had to amend the agreement based on that, and I was kind of doing that last second. Based on Steve's review, he's okay with where it's at, but he's also okay with the agreement that the bonding company sent over.
That's correct. The bonds are a little different to recover on than escrow. Escrow, you can just apply and get the funds out of the escrow. Bonds, some bonding companies require to bring an action in order to recover that, which is a little more cumbersome. So I'm looking in right now to see whether we would need to do that or whether they would just release the funds. I'm okay with the agreement as long as we can get it worked out with the bond company, make sure that we're comfortable with that. So from our standpoint, you could just approve it, and if they don't agree to it, then we'll bring another agreement back. Or you could approve it subject to the approval of the county attorney's office, whichever you would rather.
So is this a timely thing? Is there pressure on it, or can we push it down the road a couple of weeks?
Well, if you ask developers, it's always a timely thing.
That's what makes me want to push it down the road a couple of weeks.
So I don't want to say one way or the other. I do know, oftentimes with development, they say that and it doesn't come through, it actually isn't. And sometimes they say that and, every week, depending on how their financing is structured, it can be a big deal to them. So it's too bad that it's always the boy who cried wolf.
If we made a motion to accept it and said, hey, we'll accept it based upon the fact that the county attorney's office can work it out, that the bond can be paid directly without having to go through the cumbersome situation, and they find that's all case, then it would be done.
Correct. We would still need to get, once it's sorted out to where Steve's good with it, we would still need to get, the chairman's signature on that agreement. But it would potentially allow that to happen in 2 days as opposed to coming back
Instead
in
of
2
2 weeks
weeks.
from now.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
So on the other side, if it doesn't work out and there's a problem,
Then we just do a new agreement, bring it back again.
Then they're gonna have to come back.
then they're gonna have to come back in.
until you sign that agreement, they would have to come back.
Okay.
I'll make a motion of the approval of the 84 amend and extension subdivision improvement agreement as per the caveat that it goes through our legal and they approve.
I'll second it.
It's been moved by Commissioner Vincent and seconded by Commissioner Lee to approve of 8400 amend and extend subdivision improvement agreement as discussed. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion approves. Motion, yeah, it is. Passes, excuse me.
All right, our last item is the historic orchard pathway. So this is the county did a active transportation trails plan in 2017.
We should have made Beth stay here and talk about this, but okay, yeah.
And we actually won an award for the plan that we put together. And this is step one. This was always priority one, and it just took a lot longer to get here than we had hoped for. Hit some different hiccups, but we're finally here. Essentially what this is Bragg helped us in applying for a grant through UDOT. So it's a state grant through UDOT for trails. And as part of that grant, a match is required. So this section of trail that we joined with Willard to make it a regional trail, generally that equals a stronger grant application. So we have a three-way agreement here between Willard City, Box Elder County, and UTA. The funding mechanism on the county's side, which I assume is the one you're most interested in, the match is actually coming from UTA. So UTA owns that corridor. It's the UIC corridor there through South Willard, and this is about a 2.5 mile stretch from the south boundary of Willard City until 8700 South, where like the
Trailer park is.
Trailer Park, Trigon C-Store is, would cover that whole area. So the value of that easement that UTA has granted the county acts as our match in that grant process. So UDOT has accepted that value of the easement, and then Willard City has used their right-of-way for their portion of the match. So essentially, those two rights-of-way will get us sufficient funding to cover the design and construction of that trail corridor.
So how big of a wide path is it?
So the UTA easement is 16 feet, and the path, final design, my guess it'll be a 10-foot pathway.
It'll be similar to the one that got going between Perry and Willard, right?
Correct, yeah. Perry has some portions already constructed, Willard has some portions constructed, and I believe both of them have 10 feet in width, so.
Yeah, I'd make a motion that we approve the historic orchard pathway match agreement 25-13. Get the lights off Highway 89.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Perry and a second by Commissioner Vincent to review and approval of the historic orchard pathway match agreement 25-13. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Scott. Okay, I don't see the fire department. Annie, is this, you're gonna come
I
today
think we're
or?
covering for him, so
What's that?
we're
They-
covering
they-
for him
They
today.
actually reviewed it, so
Okay. So we're good.
a county attorney's office needs to talk about it.
Oh, okay.
They've got it.
Okay.
It's our understanding that this is just a contract that allows Kevin to track any, what would you say, violations of the fire code. As inspections are done, they put them into the system and he's notified. I don't think there's any cost to the county, if I'm understanding correctly.
Looks like the only cost is to the homeowner or the landowner, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Especially with what's happened in the legislature this year, I think that's appropriate. I would make approve to contract 2514 for life safety inspection, Vault LLC for tracking and entering inspections for new suppression system installs inspection and other annual fire inspections.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Perry and a second by Commissioner Vincent to approve contract number 25-14 for life safety inspection, Vault LLC for tracking and entering inspections for a new suppression system installs inspections and other annual fire inspections. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
That's a mouthful, isn't it?
That is a mouthful. Okay, that concludes that portion of our agenda. We are now preparing for public comment. And public comment, those wishing to make a public comment shall sign the comment roll and will be responsible following the rules outlined in the County Commission Rules and Procedures. Speakers will have 1 3-minute opportunity to speak regardless of the number of items they wish to address. Speakers shall address their comments to the County Commission only. This is a time to be heard. There will not be a back and forth dialogue with the commissioners. Speakers may file copies of the remarks or supporting information with the county clerk. The county clerk will make the information available to the county commission. Okay, we have public comment. Deanna Hardy.
Okay, Deanna Hardy, Brigham. The Box Elder Committee of Liberty supports the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE. It is hoped that we will have a state and county city Department of Government Efficiency to help get rid of the waste, fraud, and corruption in our state and local government, just like President Trump and Elon Musk are doing on the federal level. We hope DOGE is successful. This quote is from KrisAnne Hall. She's a constitutional attorney. She quotes, "When a man begins to amass almost godlike, unchecked power, all sense of moral restraint is tossed aside. When such men have control over the mechanism that shapes society, namely government institutions, tyranny is the natural result. Our nation has been in a constant struggle to ever more expand the boundaries of liberty while pushing back tyranny of the power-hungry and amoral. The battle rages still. Today, the rising tides of apathy, corruption, greed, deceit, and gross immorality threaten to overwhelm the bulwarks erected by our founders. It will take honest, courageous men and women to return this nation back to the original intent of our Constitution. Our founders willingly gave of their lives, fortunes, and sacred honor to give us liberty. Can we do no less in standing for liberty today?" This quote is by Ezra Taft Benson, and I quote, "It is imperative that American citizens become alerted and informed regarding the threat to our welfare, happiness, and freedom. No American is worthy of citizenship in this great land who refuses to take an active interest in these important matters. Stand up for freedom no matter what the cost. It can help save your soul and maybe your country. May God give us the wisdom to recognize the danger of complacency, the threat to our freedom, and the strength to meet this danger courageously. The Box Elder Committee of Liberty petitions this commission to again reduce the size and cost of our local government, to set in place a Department of Government Efficiency for our county, and restructure representative salaries so to be comparable to what the average Box Elder County citizen makes. Our county budget is unsustainable for the citizens of this county. And we also request you please, you still have not addressed any of our petition for redress of grievances, and we wish you would please address what we have come before you. For the past, since you started doing public comment in August of 2023, we have not had any of you address any of our petitions for redress of grievance, and we'd like you to please acknowledge us and answer our petitions. Thank you.
Thank you. Noticing no one else? Okay, Jenica? Gotta sign it, right? Okay,
You ready for motion?
I'm ready for a
Make a
motion.
motion, we go into closed session to deal with pending litigation as well as personnel action.
Second?
I have a motion by Commissioner Perry to go into closed session for specific reasons, and a second by Commissioner Vincent. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thanks, everyone, for coming.